Hey everybody, how is it going today? In this video, I want to talk about Nano Dimensions, ticker symbol NNDM. Nano Dimensions has recently broken out from a consolidation, and the chart pattern is looking fantastic. So I want to show you where I bought some of this stock, and then after that, I'm going to get into some of your questions. Now, if you're new to my channel, I've been trading and investing for over 20 years, and in every video, I'll show you some of the potential trades and investments that I see setting up. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future trading or investing ideas. And I also have a Patreon group, so if you would like to be a part of our community and see what we are buying and selling in real time, that link is in the description. Okay, let's get the video started, but before I do, if you could do me a small favor and like the smash button for me, help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and not only will you be helping me, but you'll be helping Nano Dimensions as well. If you could help us both out, I would really appreciate it. That's all I ask for, bringing you all of these wonderful stock charts. But let's get into this chart of Nano Dimensions. It seems like it's been forever since I've talked about Nano Dimensions. I was trading it a few times when it was making this run up, but I've been out of it for quite a while. But now it is finally starting to pique my curiosity again, because it looks like it has finally carved out a bottom. It's making a beautiful rounded bottom, just like a lot of those stocks that were on fire late last year and into early this year. It seems like they're all sort of making this pattern, and that is actually a good thing. You know, this could be a part of the time in the market when these lower price stocks that were on fire, like Nano Dimensions and a bunch of other ones, you know, start to catch fire again. And that's the way it's looking, because this is a very constructive pattern, a very nice bottoming formation. We can see Nano Dimensions had a little bit of a spike low back in early March, had a retracement up to over double digits, but then had just started slowly fading. And this was probably testing a lot of people's patience that have been long this stock. And if they weren't, you know, completely sold on this stock, they were probably starting to sell off as, you know, their position value was really starting to depreciate. But it made a new low below that 200 period simple moving average, and once it did that, I thought Nano Dimensions was really going to be in trouble. I thought it was going to head back down towards, you know, maybe $3 or so, but it immediately reversed, and it has worked its way back above that 200 period simple moving average, that yellow line on the chart, which is very important, and then it started moving sideways. This is when I really started to get interested here, because just because a stock starts to reverse, and you don't know if it's going to be sustainable. It can roll right back over, because we had this reversal here back in early March, and it immediately rolled back over. It tested that support level in mid-April, bounced up to almost double digits again, and then rolled over yet again. So now that we've had this other bounce up and this stock is starting to move sideways, this is when I start to get really interested, and then I start to watch and see how it hangs around these moving averages, and if it can get through resistance. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see it was finding support at that 200 several times, and that is very, very monumental if you want a stock to continue into the uptrend. But it finally did break through this resistance area that I had been watching for several weeks, and it is starting to hold it. It has went sideways for 2 days. It looked like today earlier it was breaking out even higher, but it has since sold off. But you know what? I've seen enough, and I'm going to start a position in Nano Dimensions already. I'm in at $8.71. So I'm going to put a tight stop loss on this one. If it breaks below $8 a share, I'm probably going to take my small loss and you know, either move on to another trade or just wait for a better entry, because I don't want to be getting into Nano Dimensions if it's going to start rolling over again. I'm planning on being in this one for several days to several weeks, just depending how the trend plays out. This looks like this could be the start of a continued move up, and it could be, you know, just in the first stages of it. So this is when I like to enter the trend. But when you're in this early part of the trend, it has a higher probability of failing. So not only do I have the possibility of catching more of the trend if it goes on a sustainable trend, but there's also a little bit more of a possibility of it failing. You know, if this thing starts to follow through to the upside and starts to make a clear uptrend, it's going to be a little bit of a safer play. But, you know, you've missed out on some of the potential gains. That's kind of, you know, the give and take of when you're trying to get into these trends early. There's a higher probability of it failing, but there's more reward if it does go on that sustainable uptrend. And I think Nano Dimensions has a pretty good possibility of it. Hopefully it doesn't reverse next week, but I am in at, like I said, $8.71 a share. And actually, let's go to the 15-minute chart and take a look at this trend, or at this breakout a little bit closer. Now, we can see that it was really finding some resistance right around 835-ish or so, but once it finally broke through, that's when I really start watching it to see if it's going to hold. You can see it had multiple tests in the last several days, had a decent looking run up today, even though it is selling off at the moment, but this could just be a pullback in the beginning part of that trend. So it's a little bit of a safer entry for me. I'm not chasing it over $9. I'm waiting for a little bit of a pullback, so it reduces my risk, because if it does break down through this support area, I don't want to be in it for too much longer. I'll give it a little bit of leeway, because sometimes they'll break through that support area and then they'll jump right back above it. But for the most part, I don't like to give it too much of leeway once it does break through a major support level, because there's just other trades out there. I'm looking to be in this thing for probably a couple of weeks or so. I'm not saying that there's Nano Dimensions isn't a good company to be investing in. I know a lot of people really like this company. I haven't looked into Nano Dimensions enough to want to hold it for the long term just yet, but I tell you what, I really like this pattern it's making in the near term, and I think this one has a pretty good possibility of making 15, 20, 25% for me in the next couple of days to couple of weeks. All right, so let's get into some of these questions. The first one is from my friend DKY, and he's asking about CALX Incorporated, ticker symbol CALX. And this is just a beautiful looking chart pattern. I had never actually heard of this company until you sent that question, so I looked into them just briefly on Seeking Alpha, and man, this stock is just really, really interesting. Just a big move up from the pandemic lows. This thing was trading right around $6 a share, and now it's almost $2.50, and it's making just a beautiful bullish triangle consolidation. It looks like it has pretty much nowhere to go but to breaking out, because it's just putting pressure on it, and you very seldom see formations like this break down. Sometimes they break down after you have a breakout, or have like one of those false breakout reversals, but usually these are sustainable. So just a beautiful uptrend. You always show me some decent charts, DKY, but I'm gonna have to look into this company a little bit more. What was interesting is what I found on Seeking Alpha. It didn't look like that their sales are definitely growing, but I don't know if it merited this huge run-up in the stock, so there must be something I don't know about, because definitely people that are smarter than I am have been accumulating this. But there's no denying how beautiful this chart pattern is, and this thing looks destined to break out probably in the next week or two. So thanks for bringing this one to my attention. I'm going to keep a close eye on this one, and if it breaks out, I'm going to probably participate in this one, because that is a beautiful looking chart pattern. The next one you were asking about was WVVI. Never heard of this one before either, I don't think. This is in the beverage, wineries, and distilleries sector. Willamette Valley Vineyards. Well, now this one, typically I would say is probably a pretty bullish pattern, but because this stock is pretty extended and it's kind of been going sideways like this, this almost looks a little bit like a bull trap to me. I think a lot of people would be coming into this stock thinking that they're seeing a bullish flag, and it could end up going higher, but for some reason this one is, even though I love the pattern, this kind of looks like ones that tend to break down, or at least they'll break down quite a bit before they end up resuming to kind of, because everybody can see this bullish flag formation. This one's pretty easy to see, so when it does break down after a sustainable move. Now, if it's early on in the trend and it hasn't gone up that far, then I would say it had a higher probability of breaking out, but this one kind of has trap written all over it just from what I am seeing, and I don't know. Some of these beverage stocks have been taking off, I guess just because of the pandemic. Everybody had nothing to do but sit home and booze it up, so I guess that's making a lot of money for these type of companies. But I don't know. It's a nice looking pattern, but I think this one has trap written all over it. I guess we'll have to wait and see if it breaks down or not. And it might end up just taking off if everybody just keeps boozing it up the way they do. But One other stock that I was watching in this sector was Eastside Distilling, and you can see this one had a similar pattern, but it was early on in the trend and it had a nice big up move. I did not buy this one because it is a pretty thinly traded stock. You know, today there's only 75,000 shares traded today. That's the only reason I didn't buy it. I liked the pattern. Of course, if I'd have known it was going to explode up like this, I would have bought it. I wouldn't have cared, you know, which or how many shares were traded. But I just thought that since there were so few shares traded, I figured there might have been some better opportunities. But man, that one would have been a decent one to buy into. I know another one that I was watching in this sector, I think was like VWE, I think. Yeah, beverages, wineries, and distilleries. This is Vintage Wine Estates, and you can see this one has had a big move up from right around $10 or so, and starting to move sideways. It's holding that 21-period exponential moving average, so I don't know. I mean, the sector might be pretty strong. Let me check out Napa. Napa is Napa's looking pretty good too. It's pulling back to that 21-period exponential moving average. So I don't know. I mean, the sector actually looks kind of strong. Just the way how that you know, bullish flag. Let me go back to it real quick. Was so extended. It just kind of makes me think. Let's see if my software works. There we go. It was just so extended. Usually when I see them extended not only to the upside, but then the flag tends to go out for a considerable period of time. They usually end up getting a breakdown. Sometimes you get a breakdown and then it immediately reverses and takes back off. But usually these ones end up failing that lower trend line of the flag. But decent looking chart. You always bring me some pretty decent looking charts every time you give me a question. But the next question was from Doug and Kay, and they were asking about FUBO. Now, I've definitely looked at this one many times. Some guys in the Patreon really like this one. This one is making one of those rounded bottom formations, just like Nano Dimensions was. You know, it was hot last year, and you know it started to roll over a little bit, but it made a nice bottoming formation. And the trend is headed higher. And actually, this one looks pretty similar to Nano Dimensions as far as this recent consolidation. And you can see that it looks like it's printing a nice green candle today and could be on its next leg up of the uptrend. So, I mean, I really like FUBO. I didn't buy any of it because there was just so many stocks that were making this pattern about a month or so ago. I mean, you guys probably saw a bunch of them just like I did. FUBO was one I didn't end up picking up, but I really like the stock. I just can't buy every single one of them, and I know a lot of people like FUBO, but I like this this chart pattern right now. And you know what? I'm going to start keeping a closer eye on it because nice little breakout from that consolidation. This is what I'm hoping that Nano Dimensions is going to look like and have some follow through to the upside, and then you know, truck on up. This one I would say is probably going to have some resistance right about here. Bring it down just a little bit. If you're in a FUBO, I would say right around $40 a share, you're probably going to see some decent resistance. So as long as this breakout holds, should have smooth sailing all the way up to right around $40. But that's what where I would expect some you know, technical selling to come in. You never know what's going to happen with the market. I mean, the market could roll over hard next week, and it might not make it to 40. But I think if we have a decent market like we've been experiencing so far, I think it's got smooth sailing all the way up to about $40 a share. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions about any of these stocks, or if you have any other stocks you want me to take a look at, please leave them down there in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, guys, and until next time, take care.